Hey guys, it's me, and today we're looking a little bit bronzy. So I can't tell if the tinted moisturizer that I have on today is a little bit dark or if I went a little too heavy with the bronzer today. I don't know which one it is. I can't really tell because when I look at my chin, it looks okay, but everywhere else is looking a little bit dark. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but we're just gonna roll with it, okay? But anyways, today we are gonna be doing a makeup declutter video. So I talked about this before in my To Check It Ready With Me that I posted last month, that I was going to be redoing my makeup collection and declutter series. So the collection series is going to be like me just like showing you guys everything in my collection organized by categories. And when it comes to the declutter portion, we're going to do this like I've done like some of my past declutters where I have already decluttered everything, and I'm going to talk to you guys about all the things that I've decluttered. But here's the thing though, I did a massive purge back in January. And we're going to talk about the things that I purged out of my collection. And when I say I did a massive purge, I decluttered all this stuff here. Which I know some of you might be thinking like, oh, that's not that much. That's not a big declutter. That was a third of my makeup collection that I decluttered. A third. And that was back at the end of February, by the way. I have stand corrected. I just checked like the date on the photo. It was back in February, not January. I thought that it was back in January. But I guess not. I guess it was right at the end of February. But when I filmed that initial like collection declutter series, it was mostly just me like running through my collection and just being cutthroat and just like parting with things that I did not need, that I did not like, or was just expired or completely used up. And so we're going to talk about all of those things as well as some things that I have just decluttered as of yesterday. So I have a few things that I went through and decluttered yesterday. There's not a whole lot, so we'll talk about those things. But I will say this, when it comes to the things that we're going to be talking about that I decluttered back in February, I'm not going to be able to actually show you guys those items because a good chunk of that stuff I have either already given away to like friends, I have thrown away, or I have returned. And then like the other items that I still have that I decluttered during that session are in my box of items that I am working on rehoming. So I don't want to have to dig through that because that'll take me a while to dig through it. And I have plans for today, so I need to get this filmed, done, and ready so that way I can like have time to like get my makeup off, get packed up, and out the door. We're gonna go ahead and do ourselves a little declutter, talk about some things that I have gotten rid of, while also showing you guys the results of all of the declutter sessions. So like how my collection was looking like before, like at the very beginning when I did the initial purge, and then how everything looked afterwards and after I also reorganized everything. And then I'm also going to show you guys like how things were looking before I did my recent purge, like the purge that I did yesterday, as well as how things are looking now that everything is done, and also doing a bit of reorganizing as well. So if you guys want to see all of this fun type stuff, then well, stick around because we're about to dive on into it. But before we do so, if you guys are new here to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe, and also while you're down there, definitely give this video a thumbs up because that'll help me out a lot. All my links are down in the description box below, which are the links to my Instagram, Twitter, and my music channel. And yeah, let's do this. We're gonna start out by going over the palettes that I decluttered in my original purge. So the first palette that we have up here is the Sugar Pill Little Twin Stars collab. This was a cute little palette, but I found that the shades were just really light. It's a really pale pastel palette, and it was really nice. It performed really well. There's one particular metallic shade in it that I really, really loved, but I can't keep a palette just for one shade, and so I'm gonna rehome it and plan on giving it to my friend Shelby because it'll be a great way for her to experiment with pastels, and then too it's also just a really cute palette. But if she doesn't want to take it, then I know my friend Madeline, she'll love to take it because she took the liquid lipsticks from that collection, so I'll probably give it to her if Shelby doesn't want to take it, but I have a feeling Shelby will take it. Next up, we have all 3 of the mini Norvina palettes from ABH, which the Norvina collection is like a sub-brand within Anastasia, by the way, for those of you who don't know. And I had all 3 of the mini palettes, and I decluttered them just simply because I wasn't reaching for them. The formula is pretty good, but there are formulas that I prefer better that I already have in my collection and that I reach for more often than I did these mini palettes. So I went ahead and parted with those, and I believe Madeline took those as well. Then we have the Do Not Disturb palette from BH Cosmetics. I wanted to try this palette out so badly because the color story was everything that I loved. Like, I just loved that color story so much when it came to the Say It collection. But when I tried it out, it just didn't wow me. Like, the shimmers in it just didn't do enough for me. The mattes were really good. It's just that the shimmers just weren't doing what I wanted them to do, so I decided to part with that palette. Then we have the Violet Voss All of You Forever palette. This I got as a free gift for signing up with BoxyCharm last year when I tried out BoxyCharm for 3 months, which I've been thinking about trying them out again and doing like a BoxyCharm versus Ipsy series, especially now that they're owned by the same company and everything. Like Ipsy bought out BoxyCharm, so I'm curious about getting both of those services at the same time and testing out to seeing like which one is better and just seeing like how they work against each other. All of You Forever palette, I used it one time and that's it, and it was alright. I really love the tones of the mattes in that palette, which is why I held on to for as long as I did. But the shimmers and the metallics in it, although they were really good, I just didn't really care for those tones, and so I just decided to go ahead and part with it. Then I had these 2 small Urban Decay palettes. I had the Mini Stone Vibes palette and the Naked 2 Basics palette. They were great palettes. It's just that I have similar shades in other palettes and formulas that I prefer over these ones, and so I just went ahead and parted with them and I rehomed them. Next up, we have the 2 Lime Crime palettes that I had. I had the Venus 3 and I also had the Greatest Hits Classics. So the Venus 3 I got in my first BoxyCharm, and the Greatest Hits Classics I got from Ulta during the 21 Days of Beauty in spring of... was it spring or was it fall of last year? I can't remember. It was one of those 2 times that they had the 21 Days of Beauty. But I tried them both out and everything, and I just didn't care for them. The formula was okay. The mattes were good. It's just that the shimmers were so lackluster. They were just so extremely subtle that it was more so just like a light sparkle. And I just didn't care for them that much. And then when it came to the Greatest Hits Classics, and similarly to like what I've been saying before, the shades that were in these palettes, I have throughout my collection already and in formulas that I prefer over these ones here. Let's see, then we have the Caliente palette from Artist Couture, and this was a good palette. It worked really nice. The formula is really great. I just have shades like this already in my collection, and so figured that I would part ways with it and let someone else have it. And then I have 3 ColourPop palettes. So I have the Sorbet Quad here, and formula wise, it was nice, but it wasn't the types of colors that I thought that it was going to be. I thought that it was going to be more like a rosy neutral type quad, but it's definitely more like cool tone brown leaning, and it just didn't do it for me. And then I have these 2 other ColourPop palettes. We have Sweet Talk, which this is a really lovely palette. I just have other palettes that I prefer over it from ColourPop, because the only reason why I held on to this palette for as long as I did, and the reason why I got this palette, is because I loved like the corally peachy tones in it, and not so much the other shades that were in the palette. And now I have both Baby Got Peach and Coral Crush, and I love both of those palettes. So I was just like, if I have those 2, I definitely don't need this one. And the last palette that we're going to talk about is the Witching Hour palette from ColourPop, which was their second collab with Hocus Pocus. And this was a nice little palette. Again, though, a running theme with the palettes and whatnot, I already have these shades throughout my collection, and so I don't need to have so many repeats throughout my collection in terms of like shadows that I have in other palettes. So figured that I would just part ways with it. I plan on giving it to my friend Shelby because I know that she would love it. I remember showing it to her when I had gotten it and she was obsessed with it, so I'm sure that she will love having it. So now let's move on into the makeup products that I decluttered that aren't palettes. So first up we have the Tarte Creaseless Concealer, and I believe I got the shade 10B. I think that's what the shade was. I can't remember the shade name for it, but I tried it out because I remember back in, I believe it was 2020, I had gotten a Sephora foundation sampler set, and in there was a sample sachet sheet thingy of this concealer, and I was interested in trying it out, and because it didn't feel nearly as drying as Shape Tape, and so I was like, oh, let's try this out. And so I tried it out, and I just found it just to be so heavy and just so thick that I was just not into it. So I got this back in the time frame when it was 50% off at Ulta, and just didn't care for it. And so I wound up returning it along with these two LA Girl Shockwave liners. I got the shade Gotcha and Outrage. So Gotcha is the green, and it just did not show up in my waterlines. It was a really pale green, just didn't work for me. And then when it came to Outrage, online it looked like it was going to be more of like a true like bright neon orange, but it's more so like a red. And I got it with the intention of wearing it in the waterlines because I know technically, yes, it's a lip liner, but I know a lot of people use the Shockwave lip liners on the waterlines. And so I was like, let me try it out. And it just, again, it was more red leaning. And I already have a red pencil liner that I use on my waterline. So I was like, no. So I returned all three of those. The Anastasia Luminous Foundation in the shade 140N. I decluttered it because I now have a shade that properly works for me, which is 130N. 140N was a neutral peach, and 130 is a neutral pink. And I am more pink leaning. Then we have the Stellar Beauty Limitless Foundation in L06. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but there was a period of time when this was like my favorite foundation. But it looked terrible on me, and it was way too dark for me as well. I don't know why I was so obsessed with that foundation. I just was. And I wound up not using it for a while and trying it out. And I was like, first of all, this is way too dark. Second of all, this looks terrible on me. Why was I so obsessed with it? I don't know. Then we have the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Foundation. I had the shade Light 33C. The reason why I parted with this is because there were days when it would look good on me, but then there would be days that it would look bad. Always make sure to wear it on the days when I was having a good skin day. And even still, there would be times when it would look good, but then there would be times when it would look bad. And yeah, but I would mostly use it for like shade correcting foundations that were like too dark for me, or if the undertone was off and whatnot, I would use it to just to do some like subtle shade correcting. The NYX Bear With Me Tinted Moisturizer, parting with it because it was just way too pale for me. Then we have the ColourPop BFF mascara, and I believe it was in the shade Left On Red, which was a red, and I just found that it just didn't do what I wanted it to do. As a mascara, it was good, but as a colored mascara, it wasn't great. Then we have the Pixie by Petra Blush in Beach Rose. Part of it just simply because I found that it was a bit more of a drier texture, and when it comes to me and powder blushes especially, they need to be a bit more smooth for me to really enjoy them. But I love the color of it though. I love a good like neutral leaning blush. Then we have the Flesh Firm Flesh Thick Stick Foundation, and I was in the shade Birthday Cake. Flesh no longer exists anymore. They went out of business. But this foundation stick though, I really liked it. There were days when I really enjoyed it, and then there are days when I was just like, okay, this is a bit much, because I went in too heavy with it. Because when it comes to stick foundations, they can be very much like putting spackle on your face. So yeah, but parted with that though because like the tube that I had was quite old, and then too like the brand no longer exists anymore, so I was just like, let's just go ahead and part with it. Then we have the Tarte Shape Tape Glow Wand. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and parted with it because there were days when it would look good on me, but then most times it would look not so good on me. So, and if you don't know what the Shape Tape Glow one is, it's essentially Tarte's take on like the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter for Superstar Youth Glow. Or saying like the Arc Glowless. It's essentially their take on that type of product. Then I have the Benefit Professional Light. And this I got in gratis. So for those of you who don't know, I do work in like beauty retail. And I got this in gratis right before the product actually launched because they use gratis as a way to like not only to give you like free product to reward you for being a good employee, but also as a means for you to like try out the product, test it out, see how it works so that way you can better sell the product on the floor. I got it in gratis, so I was just like, okay, I have it. It's essentially gifted to me. I'll try it out, use it, see if I like it, and if I do, I'll use it up and just never really promote it. But I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it at all, so I'm parting with that. Then we have the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer. Didn't care for it. Parted with it. The Dior Backstage Primer, as well as the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream deluxe samples that you see next to each other. I got those in a foundation sampler set from Sephora. Those were deluxe samples. And parting with both of those, the Dior one, I just did not care for it enough. Then too, they're not cruelty free. And then the Charlotte's Magic Cream, it's just a thick moisturizer. It's just a thick moisturizer, and I don't like thick moisturizers. Then I have two Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On pencils, and I have the shades Amped and Zero. So Zero is like a softer black, so it's not as intense as Perversion, which is why I'm parting with it. And then Amped was a neon pink that was part of the Wired collection, and it just didn't show up really well. And so I was just like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and part ways with both of these because I'm not reaching for them. They're not doing what I want them to do and being the way that I want them to be. So let's just part with them. The Sugar Pill liquid lipsticks. I know I parted with Dainty and I want to say Crumpet. Yes, Crumpet. And then the two Twin Star liquid lips, so Kiki and Lala. And the reasons why I parted with those is either because Dainty and Crumpet, those had just simply dried up, and then also Dainty was just way too pale for me. And then Kiki and Lala, I didn't like the tone of the pink shade because it just looked really weird on me. And then the blue shade, I just wasn't reaching for it enough. And then I had the Juvia's Place lipstick. I can't remember the name of the shade off the top of my head, but it was like a dusty, rosy, mauvey type of shade. And parting with it just simply because I'm just not reaching for it. I bought that lipstick for Shelby's wedding to use for her, and then like I would hold on to it afterwards. But I'm planning on giving it to her since I've decluttered it and whatnot because it's a beautiful shade, but I got it because she really loved the Anastasia liquid lipstick in Dusty Rose on her, but she didn't like how dry it was. Let's see, we have the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. I didn't care for it. I didn't really care for it. It's alright. It's nothing special. I tried it out for like 4 months and just didn't care for it enough to keep it. Next to it, I have a tube of the Urban Decay Perversion Mascara, which I had that tube for way too long. I think I had it for like 3 or 4 years. And it was still good. It was still good, but I was just like, I've had this for way too long. It went on sale during holiday at Ulta for like 10 or 15 bucks. Let me get a new tube and chunk this one, so that's what I did. Then I had 4 KVD liquid lipsticks, all of which have been discontinued, and those were Aisha, Requiem, and then 2 minis and Wolf and Dagger. I just wasn't reaching for them enough, and then Requiem was just way too light for me. Then I had a Milk mini lip and cheek stick in the shade Work, which I got that as a free birthday gift from Sephora, and it was nice. It was a nice product and whatnot. It was a nice blush shade. I just wasn't reaching for it enough, so decided to part with that. Then I had a Marc Jacobs La Marque lip crayon in the shade Blacker. That was an impulse buy. I was just super curious about trying it out because it's like Marc Jacobs makeup. It's on clearance at Sephora. Let's give it a go. And I did not like it. It was really messy. The formula wasn't that great. And so, yeah, I just went ahead and just threw it away because I'm like, nobody needs to experience this. And then I had two KVD Set a Kiss lipsticks in the shades Deep Teal and Lolita, and I just wasn't reaching for them enough to warrant keeping them, so I parted with both of those. Had a Lancome Juicy Tubes, and I don't even know the shade of it. I got it in like a Sephora favorite set and just did not like it. It was super thick and goopy and just it just felt gross on my lips, so I'm like, let me get rid of this shit. Had a mini of the Huda Beauty lipstick in the shade Girls Trip, and that one was just a little too light for me, so I parted with that. Sugar Pill Pretty Poison lipstick and Dark Sided. Beautiful shade, just wasn't reaching for it enough. It's like a black and purple shade, and I just wasn't reaching for it enough to warrant keeping it. I had too many liquid lipsticks. One of them was from Smashbox, and it was in the shade Audition, which I got that using points from Sephora. Just way too light and just couldn't get into it, wasn't reaching for it. And then similarly goes with the Tarte Sugar Rush Cake Pop liquid lipstick. That liquid lipstick was just way too light for me as well. Also, I noticed that sometimes like it would look a bit patchy on the lips, but formula wise, other than those things, like it felt really comfortable on the lips. We have a Anastasia liquid lipstick. I believe I decluttered the shade Sepia. I'm pretty sure it was Sepia that I decluttered. It was either Sepia or Grim. I kept one of those because I had both of them, and I did not need to keep both of them because the only differences between the two was the undertone, and that's it. Like, Grim was more cool toned, Sepia was a bit more warm. And so I was just like, which one do I like more? And let's keep the one that I like more. And so that's what I wound up doing with that. And then I parted with this Flower Beauty Miracle Matte Lip and Crimson Touch. Formula is amazing. I'm wearing one of them right now. I'm wearing Nude Blush right now. Amazing, amazing formula. It is so comfortable and just so lovely. Crimson Touch is just a shade that, I don't know, it just would always look a bit off on me. I don't know, I just didn't care for the shade on me. So now I'll show you guys like the before and after of my makeup storage during that period of time when I did that massive purge. And so that way you guys could see like how my makeup collection was looking beforehand, because as you can see, the drawers were completely just full. They were absolutely full. It was absolute chaos and just so disorganized. Like, it was organized without being properly organized. But after the fact, I got some organizers, I opened up another drawer for palettes and whatnot, and things got better again. Like, things were nicely organized, things were positioned in great ways, things were in like some trays and whatnot that I had gotten, and it just looked a lot better. But then I started getting more makeup in, and the organization started to dwindle a bit and started suffering a bit. And so I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit crazy. But I also had some items that were in like my maybe piles and whatnot. So I was just like, let's give this some time and whatnot, see how I feel about things. And some of these items that I'm decluttering now, that I'm showing you guys that I decluttered with this like recent declutter that I've been doing, some of these are items that were in those maybe piles. Some of them are just items that I've gotten recently that I'm like, you know what, this just didn't work for me, let's part with it. So there's not that many of these things, so we're gonna go ahead and just blast through this, and after you guys see these things, I'll show you guys how the organization is looking now for my storage. Alright, so we'll start out with, I guess, like prepping stuff first. Yeah, we'll start out with that. I know this is more so like a skincare item, but it is a lip balm. This is the Dr. Bronner's Peppermint Organic Lip Balm, and I got this from Walmart, and it's a nice lip balm, but I don't know, after trying other lip balms and whatnot, this one just seems a bit weird to me now, so I'm just gonna chunk it. Then I have the Fourth Ray Beauty Good Mood Chill Moisturizer. I've been working on this for a while now, and there are days when this moisturizer works really well for me and hydrating my skin, but then there are days when I've noticed that like it tends to irritate my eczema a bit. But since I've used like a good chunk of this, I don't feel bad about parting ways with it, even though there's like still some product in it. But because of the fact that like it does bother my skin on some days, I'm gonna go ahead and part ways with it. But other than that, like if it didn't bother my skin, I would keep using this moisturizer because it's a nice one. Then I have this moisturizer that I got in gratis. It's from Lancome, and it's the Hydra Zen Anti-Stress Glow Liquid Moisturizer. I just do not care for this at all. Like, I prefer the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream over this, like, any day. Because I find that the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream makes you have, like, a natural looking glow to the skin. This one just makes you look stupid shiny. And I'm just not here for it. I just feel as if it just doesn't hydrate me well enough either. So I'm going to go ahead and part ways with this. And also, again, not cruelty free, but like I said, I got this in gratis. So I didn't have a choice on whether or not I was going to get it. So I have a primer here. This is the Touch in Sol Pretty Filter Icy Sherbet Primer. And I got this in a BoxyCharm. And it's a nice little primer. I just don't reach for it enough because I just don't care for primers. I've used a good chunk of it though, but there's still a good chunk of it left. And so I'm going to part ways with this. I'm going to see if Shelby might want it, whatnot. I don't know if she'll take it. Maybe Madeline might take it. I don't know. Actually, yeah, maybe Madeline would take it, but at the same time, I don't think they will because I've dug my fingers into this guy a lot, so I don't know. Also, I got this in gratis. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter Ultra Glow Face Primer. And this primer, I just don't like it. I don't like tacky face primers. I like face primers that are like very smooth feeling on the skin. I don't like them when they have like a tacky feeling to them. Like that Touch in Sol one is nice. It just like, it smooths out the skin, has a bit of a cooling effect to it. I just don't care for it enough to keep it. And with this one, yeah, it would pump in a bit of hydration into the skin, but it just is so tacky and just so sticky and just, ugh. I hate the feeling of my skin being sticky. Next up, we're going to talk about a setting product, and that is this deluxe sample that I have of the KVD Lock-It setting powder. I just don't reach for setting powders enough because I don't really ever set my face because of the fact that I have such dry skin. I did get a sample, well, I say a sample, I guess like a deluxe sample or a mini of another setting powder just recently, and I've had this one for a while, and I felt the textures between the two, and I like the other one a lot better than this one. This one is still a really good translucent setting powder though, but I'm going to go ahead and part ways with it. And I've used this a lot, and as you can see, it's still pretty much full. So I'm going to part ways with it. Then I have some lip products. These two are both from Fenty. They have been discontinued. These were the Mademoiselle lipsticks, I think is what these were called. And I had the shades Thick and FN Black. I have another one that I'm keeping, and that is Wicked Wasabi, and that's a green. But FN Black is, you guessed it, a black. Thick is like a mauve. A mauvey nude. And the reason why I'm parting with these is partly because I just don't reach for them enough, and then also because I have other shades throughout my collection. Then I have this Melt Cosmetics mini liquid lipstick in the shade Rebound, and parting with this is just simply because I don't ever reach for it. I got this, it was either an offer code or using points at Sephora. It was one of those two. And then we have this ColourPop lippy stick in the shade Oh Snap. And this is like your typical like light pinky nude type shade. My brain just farted again. But yeah, I just don't ever reach for it. I tried it out. It's okay, but I just don't care for it enough to keep it. Then I have two products from Fenty. This first one here is a well-loved and used product, and that is my mini of the Diamond Bomb and How Many Carats. Yeah, it's very gross. I've hit pan on it, or at least I'm pretty sure I hit pan on it. I think I hit pan on it. Did I? I don't know. I've had this for a while now though. It's looking super gross, and I bought a full size of it when Fenty first came to Ulta. So I'm gonna go ahead and just like chunk this guy because, like I said, it's gross, it's old, and just need to part with it at this point. And then I have this item. This one I got in gratis, and it's also from Fenty, and that is the Trophy Wife Kilowatt Highlighter. It is beautiful. The formula itself is beautiful. I just don't like how this looks on me. Like gold tone highlighters, if it's like a champagne, like if it has some like pink to it and it's not like straight up gold, I can make it work for me. But this is just straight up gold. Like this is yellow gold. And yeah, I could just use it on the eyes if I wanted to, but I know I'm not going to do that. I know I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to part with it and give it to somebody that'll get some use out of it. And then the last two items that I have are both eyeshadow palettes. And this first one here is the Naked Cyber palette from Urban Decay. I used this palette once and that's it. Like color story wise, I wish that this had more depth to it because it is a nice color story, but if it had more depth to it and if like the metallics and the shimmers just had more payoff to them, I would probably be more tempted to keep it because I love the packaging of it so much. But I just don't care enough for the product itself, so I'm gonna part with this. I'm glad I got it when I did because I got it on like a massive clearance, so I was able to save a good bit on it. And the last palette that I'm going to part with, I feel a bit weird about parting with, and that is the Celestial Storm palette from Dominique Cosmetics. This color story, like I was so excited about getting this palette because I got this when it was being phased out of Sephora. Because I mean, look at this color story. It is such a beautiful color story. And I love how it's like even broken up into like different sections, like here's a quad, here's a quad, here's a quad, or like here's a duo, here's a duo, here's a duo, and so on and so forth. And so it's just like, I was so insanely inspired by this palette when I first got it, and I created such a unique, like super grungy look using this palette, using majority of the shades in it as well. But I just haven't reached for it. I haven't reached for it at all. And I held on to it for a while because it's just like, it's such a beautiful color story. And also I just love like the outer packaging. Like the outer packaging just looks so cool to me. But I just am not reaching for it. So gonna go ahead and part ways with it. Also, it's a big ass palette too. This is a big palette. That's everything that I purged like in this recent like mini declutter session. And now let's see how my drawers look like now. They're a lot better organized now and things are sorted a bit better. There are some things that I'm still working towards and like using up so I can declutter to make better room for things and whatnot, but my collection is looking a lot more under control now. And I don't really see myself buying any more makeup anytime soon, I don't think. There's not really anything that I'm like dying to have makeup wise in my collection right now. So I think we're good for the time being in terms of my makeup collection. So I will be filming the makeup collection series probably within the coming weeks. I don't know when it'll start happening because I am going to be away from home for a few days. And so I don't know when I'll start filming the collection series, but it's going to be happening. I'm just not sure when yet. But that is it for this declutter video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There's a lot of stuff that I talked about in it. And what did you guys think? I hope I didn't bother some of you guys with decluttering some of these things because I know like some items, like some people are like, oh, I love that. Why did you declutter it? This is all based on my personal taste and preferences and the fact that like I have a lot of repeats throughout my collection and just trying to tone down everything that I have in my collection so that way I don't have so many repeats and just keeping the things that I just absolutely love and the things that I know that are good. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until I see you guys in my next one, whenever the hell that may be, goodbye.